Hi, this is Mike Dugan with Torrens.com. It's a great website for learning guitar and all styles, and it's something that you can join membership-wise, or you could just purchase songs and lessons. Today's tip is on how to identify what key you're in. Some students have recently addressed me as to what key do I play in, how do I know what key I'm in, what key is the song in. So that's what we're going to discuss over the next couple minutes, and we're going to give you 3 different examples so that you can start to diagnose on your own what key you're in and what key do you play in. All right, so let's start with a simple blues song. This is a 12-bar blues. Many of you are familiar with it. I started in A, on an A chord. That's usually a good giveaway of what key the song is in blues. Notice the end of the progression ends on E, because if you remember, the E chord is the turnaround chord, which makes it go around again. So even though the last chord of a progression is the turnaround chord, that is not what key I'm in. What key I'm in is, and this is the universal principle that I want you to get here today, what it resolves on. Does that mean what it ends on? No, because I ended on E7th and I was going around to play it all over again, starting on A. It resolves on A. This would not resolve the sound of that song. This would. As a matter of fact, when you're ending a blues song, you have to make sure you don't go to your turnaround chord, because the turnaround chord makes it go around again and again and again until you're finished, and then you would play on the resolved chord, which is A. So an ending would sound like this. Resolved on A, therefore you're in the key of A. So in blues, you would play the A blues scale. And you'd be in perfect key. Okay, example number 2. What if we had a folk song? Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Well, I just ended on C. Am I in the key of C? No, of course not. It's not resolved. See, resolve is not how it ends necessarily. It's what it would completely resolve to as far as no tension and finality. So it's kind of an elusive term, resolve. But as a musician, I want you to get to know that term and understand what the concept of resolve means. Heaven's Door doesn't resolve on this chord that is the last chord. It ends on G. It resolves on G. Now, the first chord of the song was G. So that is like your first hint of what key you're in. But it's sometimes what you end on. But most important, I want you to understand what it resolves on. Now that you know that you're in G, you have to ask yourself a question. Is this G minor or is it G major? The way I describe it to my students is G major is a very melodic, pretty sound, and G minor is a very bluesy or melancholy sound. So this is obviously a prettier sound. So it's in G major, not G minor. I cannot use a G minor blues scale over this song. It won't sound right. So what we have to do is go to the relative minor. Relative minor of G is E, which we will explain in some other lessons for you. Therefore, you can play the E blues scale because we're in G major. Okay, one more example of trying to figure out what key you're in. Again, I want you to grasp the sense of what it resolves on, and also the key, the tone of the song is in a certain key feel. So we want to describe key tone or key feel. And here's a tricky little song from Jimi Hendrix, and it's called Hey Joe. Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? If you notice, all these chords are kind of strangely connected, and it's hard to really identify what key you're in if you go from C to G and D to A, and you end up on E. Well, it's resolving on E, but more importantly, I want you to understand that the tone color of this song is E. Now, I had a little help. I kind of grew up listening to Jimi Hendrix records. So I identified that Jimi took his solo using the E blues scale. It was very easy for me to hear at the time, so then I knew that that solo happened here. And there it is, the pentatonic scale in E. So I got the feeling and the understanding of what a tone color is, or a key color. And in Hey Joe, it is in E, and that is what you take your solo on. Okay, so before I leave you today, I want to talk more about what does a song resolve on. I want you to understand that a little bit better with another example. Okay, if you play the open chords G to C to D7, you'll notice, I hope you notice, that there's a tension there. There's a tension with that D7th. Once you've established G and C and D7, you hear the tension, that it's not resolved. If you're a musician, you have to develop these skills of hearing and sensing that. It's not resolved, it's got a tension of anticipation. I'm sorry that it's kind of nebulous to describe these things, but these really truly are just examples of being in tune with an art form known as music. So I want you to just be aware of it. Start to be aware of how it's unresolved on the D7th chord. Feel the tension of anticipation. Now listen to the resolve. See, to me it's obvious, but I've been studying music for 40 years. But I want you to just start to get an idea of this terminology and what a song resolves on. Then you'll always know what key you're in.